The night was colder than usual, and the wind moved slowly through the empty streets, making a soft whisper that felt strange and heavy. Armin stood near the window of his small house, looking outside into the dark, his eyes tired but unable to rest. Something did not feel right tonight. The sky was too quiet, no stars, no sound. Just a deep black silence that made his chest feel tight. He tried to ignore it and turned away. But then he heard it, a sound not loud, not clear, but something between a whisper and a cry, coming from outside his door. Armin froze for a moment, his heart beating faster. He listened again, and there it was. The same strange sound, not human, not animal. Something else, slowly. He walked toward the door, each step careful, as if the floor itself might break the silence. The wind outside suddenly stopped, everything became still. Armin placed his hand on the door handle, hesitating, his mind telling him to stay inside, to forget the sound, but something deeper pushed him forward. He opened the door. At first, he saw nothing, just darkness covering the ground and sky. Then, a faint glow caught his eyes right in front of his house. Something was lying on the ground, wrapped in a thin, shining material that moved like liquid light. Armin stepped closer, his breath slow and careful. The glow became stronger, soft but unnatural. And then he saw it, a child small. Fragile, but not normal. Its skin had a pale silver tone, almost like it was reflecting the light around it. Its eyes were closed, but even then, they seemed too deep, too aware. Armin's hands shook slightly as he knelt down beside it. "Is this a baby?" he whispered to himself. The child suddenly moved, its eyes opened, bright, glowing faintly with a color Armin could not understand. For a moment, time felt frozen. The child looked directly at him, not like a baby, but like something that understood him completely. Armin felt a strange pressure in his head, like a voice trying to speak without sound. Then the child slowly lifted its small hand and held Armin's finger. The moment their skin touched, everything changed. The wind stopped completely. The air became still. Even the distant noise of the world disappeared. Armin's eyes widened as a sudden calm filled his body. Unnatural, heavy, it felt like the world had paused. Just for this moment, then something else happened. A faint sound came from above. Armin slowly looked up at the sky. For a brief second, he thought he saw something moving in the darkness. Something large, something watching, but then it was gone. His heart started beating faster again. He looked back at the child. It was still holding his finger, but now its eyes were softer, almost safe. Armin swallowed his fear. He did not understand what this child was, or where it came from, but he knew one thing. He could not leave it here. Carefully, he picked up the child, wrapping it in his arms. The glowing material slowly faded away, disappearing like it was never there. As he stepped back into the house, the door closing behind him, the wind returned, stronger than before. The world started moving again, but something had changed. Inside the house, everything felt different. Quieter, but not peaceful, like something invisible had entered with him. Armin looked down at the child in his arms. It was no longer glowing, looking almost human now, but still not fully. Its eyes slowly closed again, for a moment. It looked like a normal sleeping baby, but Armin knew it was not. He sat down, still holding the child, his mind full of questions, fear, and something else, something he could not explain. Then suddenly, a voice not heard, but felt soft, clear, inside his mind. The child spoke without opening its eyes. "They will come." Armin's body went cold. He looked at the door, then at the dark window. The sky outside felt alive again. Watching, waiting, and deep inside, he knew. This was only the beginning. The morning came slowly. But the house did not feel normal anymore. Armin had not slept at all. He sat on the chair the whole night, holding the child in his arms, watching every small movement. The words from last night still echoed in his mind. They will come. He did not understand what it meant, but it did not feel like a dream. It felt like a warning. The sunlight entered the room. Soft and warm, but even that felt strange, like the light itself was unsure where it had entered. Armin looked down at the child. It was awake, its eyes were open again. Calm, silent, watching him, not like a baby. Not confused, not scared, just watching. As if it already knew everything, Armin forced a small smile. His voice shaking slightly. "It's okay. You're safe here," he said softly. The child did not react, it just continued to look at him. Then slowly, it sat up. Armin froze. "That's not possible," he whispered under his breath. The child had barely arrived last night. It should not even be able to move like that. But it did. It moved slowly but with control. Like it had done this many times before, Armin placed it gently on the floor. Stepping back slightly, unsure of what would happen next. The child stood up. No struggle, no falling. Just stood there, balanced, calm. Armin's heart started racing again. "This is not normal," he said quietly. The child turned its head toward the window. Its eyes focused on the sky. Again, that same strange feeling filled the room. Like something invisible was passing through the air. Armin noticed the lights in the room flicker for a second. Then again, the fan stopped spinning. The clock on the wall slowed down. Its ticking becoming slower and slower. Armin stepped back, fear growing inside him. "What are you?" he whispered. The child did not answer. But then, suddenly, the clock stopped completely. Silence filled the room. Even the air felt heavy. Like time itself had paused. Armin could hear his own heartbeat. Loud and clear. Then the child blinked. And everything returned to normal. The fan started spinning again. The clock ticked as usual. The lights stopped flickering. It was as if nothing had happened, but Armin knew it had. He looked at the child with wide eyes. This is not possible," he said. The child turned toward him again. Then slowly it spoke. Not with its mouth, but inside his mind, clear, calm, simple, safe. For now, Armin felt a chill run down his spine. "You can talk," he said, his voice shaking. The child did not move its lips, but the voice came again. "Learning." Armin took a deep breath. Trying to stay calm, this was not a normal child. This was something else, something beyond anything he had ever known. But still, it looked small, it looked alone, and somehow, that made his fear softer. He walked closer, slowly kneeling in front of it. "Do you have a name?" he asked quietly. The child looked at him, thinking, then a simple answer came. "No." Armin nodded slowly, then. "I will call you Zane," he said. For a moment, nothing happened, then the child blinked again. "Zane," the voice repeated softly inside his mind. As if accepting it, a small strange peace filled the room. But it did not last long, because outside, something had changed far in the sky. Hidden beyond human sight, a signal had been sent. A pulse of energy, silent but powerful. And something far away had felt it, back inside the house. Zane suddenly turned toward the door. Its calm expression shifted slightly, not fear but awareness. "They are searching," the voice said again. Armin's chest tightened. "Who?" he asked quickly. But there was no answer this time. Zane just kept looking toward the outside, toward the sky, toward something that was not yet visible. Armin stood there, frozen between fear and confusion. He did not know who they were, but deep inside he felt it. Whoever was coming, they were not human, and they were getting closer. Time did not move normally after that day. For Armin, it felt like everything was happening too fast, too strange, too impossible to understand. But for Zane, it was different. For him, time felt slow. Only a few days had passed. But Zane was no longer the same. His body had changed. He was bigger now, taller, stronger, no longer looking like a baby. He looked like a child of 5 years old. Armin stood in the middle of the room, staring at him in shock. This is not real, he whispered. Zane looked at his own hands, slowly moving his fingers as if testing them. Growing, the voice came calmly inside Armin's mind. Armin ran his hand through his hair, trying to think, trying to understand. How can you grow like this in days? He asked. No answer came. Zane simply walked toward the window again. Always the window, always the sky. It was like something was calling him from above. Days turned into weeks, but even weeks did not feel normal anymore. Zane continued to grow, faster than any human child, by the 3rd week. He looked almost 10 years old. His movements became smoother, more controlled, his eyes sharper, deeper. He spoke more now, still without moving his lips. Still inside the mind, simple words but full of meaning. Learning more, understanding, watching. Armin tried his best to act normal, to hide everything from the outside world. He kept the doors closed, the windows covered. He avoided people, avoided questions, but it was not easy. Because strange things kept happening. One night, as Armin sat quietly, the glass on the table suddenly cracked without any touch. Another day, the water in a cup started moving on its own, forming shapes, then becoming still again. Zane was not always aware of it, or maybe he was. Maybe he was just learning control. Armin started to feel something new. Not just fear, but responsibility. This child, whatever he was, needed him, and somehow, Armin needed him too. You are not alone, Armin said one evening. His voice soft but serious. Zane looked at him. You are mine, Armin added, unsure of his own words. Zane stayed silent for a moment. Then the voice came again, quieter this time. Father. Armin's eyes widened slightly. He did not expect that word, but it stayed in his heart. Something warm, something real. From that moment, everything changed. Zane was no longer just something unknown. He was family, but the world outside was not blind. Far above Earth, hidden in darkness, machines were watching. Signals had been detected. Unusual energy patterns, not human, not natural. Inside a large satellite, silent alarms activated. Numbers and data flashed across unseen screens. Location confirmed, movement tracked, back on Earth. Zane suddenly stopped moving. He was standing in the middle of the room, his body completely still. Armin noticed it immediately. What happened? He asked. Zane's eyes slowly lifted toward the ceiling. But he was not looking at the house. He was looking beyond it. They see, the voice came. Armin felt his stomach drop. Who sees? He asked quickly. Zane did not answer right away. Then slowly, he raised his hand, pointing upward. To the sky. Armin stepped back, fear returning stronger than before. Outside, everything looked normal. The same quiet street, the same empty sky. But now it felt different, like something invisible had locked onto them. Watching, tracking, waiting. Zane lowered his hand slowly. They are closer, he said. Armin's chest tightened. How much closer? He asked. Zane's eyes moved back to him, for the first time. There was something new in his expression. Not confusion, not curiosity, but concern. Soon, the room felt colder suddenly. Armin looked around, as if expecting something to appear at any moment. He did not know who was coming. He did not know what they wanted. But he knew one thing clearly now. They were not just searching anymore. They had found something. And that something was inside his house, standing right in front of him, looking human, but not human at all. And somewhere far above, a satellite adjusted its position, locking onto a single point on Earth, waiting for the next move. The town looked normal from the outside. Calm streets, quiet houses, people living their simple lives, but something had changed. Something invisible was moving closer. Watching, waiting, Armin felt it before he saw it. The air felt heavier, like a storm was coming without clouds. Inside the house, Zane stood near the window again, his eyes fixed on the sky. "They are here," the voice came quietly inside Armin's mind. Armin's heart started beating faster. "Who?" he asked. Even though he already feared the answer, Zane did not reply. He just kept looking outside, still, focused. A low sound came from far away. Soft at first, almost impossible to hear, then slowly becoming louder. Armin moved toward the window and pulled the curtain slightly. A black vehicle was driving slowly down the street. Then another and another, all of them moving without noise. Without hurry, Armin's hands became cold. "This is not normal," he whispered. The vehicles stopped one by one, not far from the house. The doors opened. Men stepped out, dressed in dark uniforms. Their faces calm, expressionless. They looked human. But something about them felt wrong. Too perfect, too controlled. Zane stepped back from the window. "They are not my people," he said. Armin turned to him quickly. "Then who are they?" Zane's answer came after a small pause. "They know me." A knock came at the door. Slow, steady, controlled. Armin froze. Another knock followed. This time louder, more demanding. Zane looked at him, his expression serious now. "Do not let them see," Armin nodded quickly. His mind racing, he looked around, trying to think. Then pointed toward the back room. "Go there, stay quiet," he said. Zane moved instantly, fast and silent, disappearing into the shadows of the house. The knock came again, harder this time. "Open the door," a voice called from outside, calm but firm. Armin took a deep breath and walked toward the door. His hand trembled slightly as he opened it. 3 men stood in front of him, all wearing the same dark clothes. Their eyes sharp, watching everything. "Good evening," one of them said, his voice polite but cold. "We are here for a routine check." Armin forced a small smile. "At this hour?" he asked, trying to sound normal. The man's eyes did not change. "We have reasons," he replied. Before Armin could say anything else, the men stepped inside. Without permission, without hesitation. Armin stepped back, his chest tightening. "This is my house," he said, trying to sound strong, but the men ignored him. They walked slowly around the room, observing everything. One of them stopped near the table, touching the cracked glass. His fingers moved over it, as if analyzing it. "This is recent," he said quietly. Another one looked toward the walls. "Then the ceiling, energy traces," he murmured. Armin felt his heartbeat getting louder. They were not normal officers. They were searching for something specific. For Zane, the first man turned back toward Armin. "Is there anyone else in this house?" he asked. Armin shook his head quickly. "No. I live alone." For a moment, silence filled the room. The man stared at him, too long, too deeply. Then something strange happened, for just a second. His eyes changed, a faint glow, unnatural, not human. Armin felt fear rise inside him like never before. Zane's voice suddenly echoed in his mind again. "They are not fully human." Armin swallowed hard. Trying to stay calm, the man smiled slightly. "But it did not feel real. We will take a look around," he said. Before Armin could stop them, they moved deeper into the house. Closer to the back room, closer to Zane. Armin's body tensed, his mind screamed to do something. Anything, but fear held him still. Then suddenly, the lights flickered. Once, twice, then completely went out. Darkness filled the house. The men stopped moving, for the first time. Their calm expressions broke slightly. A low hum filled the air, soft but powerful. Armin felt it in his chest, in his bones. Zane, from the darkness. 2 faint glowing eyes appeared. Watching, waiting, and for the first time. The hunters did not look like they were in control anymore. The sky was no longer dark and empty, it was alive. A massive shape hovered above the town. Silent but powerful, blocking the stars completely. A soft blue light spread across the ground, covering houses, streets, and everything below. People began to step outside, looking up in confusion and fear. But no one understood what they were seeing. Inside the house, Armin stood frozen, his eyes wide, his heart beating fast. "This is not possible," he whispered. Zane stood near the door, calm but focused, his glowing eyes reflecting the light from the sky. "They are here," he said. The three men in black uniforms had stepped back completely now, their confidence gone. "They should not come this close," one of them said, his voice low. "They never do." Armin looked at them, anger rising inside him. "Who are you people?" he demanded. But they did not answer. Their attention was now fully on the sky. Then suddenly, a beam of light descended slowly from the massive object above. It did not burn. It did not shake. It moved smoothly, silently. And it stopped right in front of the house. The ground beneath it began to glow. Armin took a step back, his breath unsteady. "Zane." "Don't go," he said quickly. Zane did not move at first. He just watched the light, as if it was calling him. Then shapes began to form inside the beam, tall figures, slowly becoming visible. Not human, not even close. Their bodies were smooth and tall, covered in a faint glowing layer. Their faces were different. Not like humans, but not frightening. Calm, controlled, powerful. They stepped out of the light one by one, their movements perfect, without sound. Armin felt fear, but also something else, a strange sense of presence, like standing in front of something far beyond human understanding. Zane took a step forward, his expression changed. Not fear, not confusion, recognition. "They have come for me," he said softly. One of the tall beings stepped closer, its eyes glowing brighter than the others. It looked directly at Zane. For a moment, everything went silent again. Then a voice filled the air. Not spoken, but felt by everyone. "You are safe." Armin felt the words inside his head. Heavy but calm, he looked at the beings, his hands shaking. "What are you?" he asked. The being did not answer him. Its focus remained on Zane. "You have grown," the voice continued. Zane nodded slightly. "I learned," he replied. The being stepped closer. "It is time to return." Armin moved quickly, stepping in front of Zane. "No," he said loudly. "You are not taking him." The air shifted instantly. The other beings turned their attention toward Armin, their eyes glowing softly, studying him. Zane placed his hand on Armin's arm. "Father," he said quietly. Armin shook his head, his voice breaking. "No. You are not going anywhere. You are staying with me." The main being spoke again, its voice calm but firm. "He is not yours." Armin looked directly at it, his fear turning into courage. "He is my son," he replied. For a moment, silence filled the space between them. The being seemed to pause, as if processing something new. Then it spoke again. "He is more than a child." Zane looked between them, his expression serious now. "They speak truth," he said softly. Armin turned to him quickly. "What do you mean?" Zane's eyes dimmed slightly. "I was sent because I am important." Armin's chest tightened. "Important how?" Zane hesitated. Then the answer came. "I carry what they need to survive." The words felt heavy. "Dangerous." The being stepped closer again. "He is our future," it said. Armin felt like the ground beneath him was breaking. "You are talking like he is not even a person," he said angrily. Zane looked at him again. "I am both," he replied. Silence returned. The wind outside had completely stopped again. Even the people in the distance had gone quiet. Watching, waiting, Zane took a small step forward, closer to the light. Armin grabbed his arm quickly. "Don't," he said. Zane looked at him for the first time. There was clear emotion in his eyes, not just calm, not just logic. "But something human, I must choose," he said. The beam of light pulsed softly, as if reacting to his words. The beings waited, completely still. Armin's grip tightened slightly. "Then choose to stay," he said, his voice full of hope. Zane looked at him, then at the beings, then back at the sky. The moment felt endless, heavy, final. Because whatever choice he made now, nothing would ever be the same again. The light from the sky pulsed softly, waiting. The tall beings stood still. Their glowing forms calm and patient. They were not in a hurry. They already believed the choice was made. But for Zane, the moment felt different, heavy, deep, impossible to escape. Armin still held his arm, his grip tight. His eyes filled with fear and hope. "Stay," he said again, his voice breaking slightly. Zane looked at him, really looked this time. Not as something observing, not as something learning, but as a son looking at his father. "You gave me more than survival," Zane said quietly inside his mind. Armin's eyes filled with emotion. "Then don't leave," he replied. Zane turned his head slowly toward the beings. They stood unchanged, watching, waiting. "You were sent for a reason," the main being said, its voice calm and powerful. "The future depends on you." Zane's eyes dimmed for a moment. "I know," he answered. The silence grew heavier. Even the air felt like it had stopped moving. Zane looked back at Armin again. "I learned something here," he said softly. Armin waited, his heart pounding. Choice. That one word stayed in the space between them. Strong, meaningful, human. Zane gently pulled his arm free from Armin's grip. Not forcefully, not coldly, but carefully, respectfully. Armin's hand slowly dropped. His chest tightened. "No," he whispered. Zane took a step toward the beam of light, then stopped. He turned back one last time. "Father," he said. The word felt stronger than ever before. Armin looked at him, unable to speak. "You are not temporary," Zane continued. "You are part of me." Tears filled Armin's eyes. He wanted to stop him, to hold him, to refuse everything, but deep inside he understood. This was bigger than both of them. Zane raised his hand slowly. A small glow formed in his palm, soft, warm, alive. He stepped closer to Armin and placed the glowing object into his hand. Armin looked down at it, confused. "What is this?" he asked. Zane's answer came quietly. "A connection." Before Armin could ask more, Zane stepped back and turned toward the light again. This time he did not stop. He walked forward, slowly, calmly. The beam of light surrounded him, lifting him gently off the ground. Armin reached forward slightly, his hand shaking. But he did not stop him. He could not. The tall beings stepped back into the light as well. Their forms fading as they returned, the sky above began to shift. The massive shape slowly moving away. The light grew brighter for a moment, then softer, then slowly disappeared. And just like that, they were gone. The sky returned to darkness. The stars slowly appeared again. The world began to move. People in the distance started speaking. Confused, scared, trying to understand what they had seen. But inside the house, there was only silence. Armin stood alone. The space where Zane had been now empty, too empty. He looked down at his hand. The small glowing object was still there. Pulsing gently, alive for a moment, he just stared at it. His mind unable to process everything that had happened. Then suddenly, the object reacted. The light grew stronger, spreading across his hand. Armin stepped back in shock. "What is happening?" he whispered. The glow expanded into the air, forming shapes, images, a projection. Clear, detailed, real. Armin's eyes widened as he saw it. Earth, but not as it was, as it could become. Dark skies, broken cities, unknown ships filling the air. A future filled with conflict, with war, with something far worse than what had come tonight. Armin's breath became heavy. No. This can't be real, he said then. Zane's voice came one last time, soft, distant, but clear. This is what is coming. Armin looked around. As if searching for him. Zane, he called. But there was no answer, only the glowing vision in front of him. Only the truth he could not escape. His hand tightened around the object. His fear slowly turning into something else. Determination, because now he understood. Zane did not just leave, he gave him a purpose. A warning, a mission. Armin looked toward the sky again. His eyes no longer filled with just fear, but with resolve. This is not the end, he said quietly. And deep inside, he knew this was only the beginning.